Welcome back to the Track Limits podcast. I'm here at the Creator Club Studios. We've just finished,
last night.
12 hours ago, we finished watching the Australian Grand Prix. And yeah, we're going to break it down. I'm Feven.
Mike.
Henny.
And we are missing Swish, who is stuck gallivanting somewhere in Utah skiing.
Nice.
I'm sure he didn't watch the race.
Honestly, I think ski was better than this race, other than the first 2 laps or 3 laps.
I thought it was a good race.
Not because I'm a Red Bull fan. That's why I said after those 3 laps, everyone expected this to be like the best show. We have 4 drivers who can potentially win this race, and it was lackluster after that. What really happened? Carlos was in a world of his own, and then Charles, Lando, Oscar, and then I don't even know what Checo was doing that race. But
he was struggling.
He was struggling. Apparently, he had damage. Christian said he had downforce damage that he took from Alonso when they were fighting. So I'm guessing turn 10 or 11, when they hit that curb, something happened to that car. So Red Bull had a horrible weekend, and they want to forget about it. But what really happened until the last lap? And that was George.
To be honest, I did fall asleep.
It's because it was also 3 a.m. in the morning.
For us,
I understand.
It was 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. by the time the end of the race came about. But the first 25 laps were really entertaining. I don't know. I think the anticipation, the first time this year, or for the longest time, where you're seeing someone else leading the race and not Max. I think everyone in that second lap when Max was overtaken by Sainz, I think everybody was cheering. And not because they want the demise of Max, but it was just so much more entertaining to see someone else, and let alone someone who just had surgery.
Wild. 16 days ago.
I
still had the bandages on from his appendix.
Yeah, you saw the post with Lando? Oh my God.
He's not human.
But it's also crazy. Like you got to view it 2 ways. In one way, we were kind of robbed of a fight because for all we know, Max and Sainz could have been battling it out.
Yeah.
So we were robbed of that. And then 2, like I know you're saying it's a lackluster race, but it was still like it was an exciting race because Sainz was under pressure. He drove insane. Like on those medium tires, he stayed out was nearly 20 laps.
Yeah, he turned into Max.
He did. But it made no sense because they pitted Leclerc after 9 laps. They pitted George after 9 laps. A little bit was going on. I was curious.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a great race.
Well, they were covering each other.
Yeah, they were covering the undercut. From Lando. Yeah.
But still, if you're starting on mediums after 9 laps, it felt a little bit too much. And then you had
Lewis starting on softs.
Yeah, he wanted to go aggressive.
Yeah.
But I love the commentators' remark on the Sauber team when they were doing their pit stops, and they were like, and they are allergic to pit stops.
Honestly,
mean, come on.
This is like the most insane thing I've ever seen. Like, how do you not get it right? Okay, first weekend, we give you a pass.
Yeah.
Second weekend? And now third weekend?
Yeah.
Third
and
race?
This race, they messed up 3 times.
Yeah.
3 times with the same nutmeg. And one was actually went into the fast lane.
Didn't he get called to his
infringement? Yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong. The lug nut is fused to the rim of the wheel. So
for some reason, it's coming off on theirs.
I actually think that's like a
mechanic.
machine. Something is not manufactured right.
That wheel gun is like max torque.
But like, isn't it crazy that when you see Sainz, who's having the drive of his life, and I think he's kind of gone into the season probably like, I'm going to give it the best that I got and get the best seat possible. And there's a lot of speculation that he's going to potentially go to the Sauber that will turn into Audi. Oh. Do you think, given like just the shit show that team is currently, like, I feel like he deserves a better seat.
I think everybody, like Charles even said, he's like, every team principal is calling Carlos right now to see what they can offer him. And I think Christian Horner would be so stupid if he's not the top person calling him right now and securing that deal.
Right? Checo's going to go.
Like, listen, Checo, you're driving really well this year. I think you can still finish P2 if that car is there. But you're at this age now where Red Bull has to think about their future. Yes, they have 2 to 3 drivers that can replace Checo, but I think you have 2 more years before this whole regulation change.
Yeah.
Why would you not have someone who can adapt to a car really quickly? Because for the last 2 or 3 years, Carlos has been given a car that is so unpredictable, and he's still performing.
Yeah.
So now you put him in a Red Bull seat, second seat. You give him 2 years. Even wait until the Sauber deal kicks in 2026. Give him a 2-year deal and let him ride with Red Bull and actually give Max a challenge.
Yeah.
I think that would be the best.
I
golden
couldn't
ticket.
agree more with that statement. Like, Carlos is probably the most what's the word I'm looking for? Underrated driver in the grid, and he is a beast.
Yeah.
He is a beast. And like, yes, he could go to the Audi team, which I do believe Audi, if they're coming into it, they're going to be competitive. And every other sport they're in, they're very competitive. But it takes a few years to get competitive. That would be such a waste for Sainz's career.
Yeah.
That's 2 years.
Yeah.
His career is just wasted until 2026. And then you don't even know what that first year would look like for him, too.
Yeah.
So it's an ungiven. I think.
He's
I don't
proved
even think he
himself.
wants it. He definitely doesn't want it. The way they're going right now, I don't think anyone wants to be in that seat.
Yeah.
Like, it was so sad to see.
But also, it's kind of
so sad.
It's crazy as well, because the whole talk last year was Red Bull was Danny Ricciardo was going to come back to
Yeah. The good segue. Good segue.
RB visa and then get promoted to Red Bull. What are they called? RB, right? Yeah, RB visa. I'm just trying to.
No, you got it. She's just
The
trolling.
ATM.
Sorry, ATM Red Bull. But now even Ricciardo, like, Yuki's outperformed. I know he got his lap deleted, but
Oh no! Like
Sainz is the most underrated driver in the grid. Is Daniel becoming
what I said a few weeks ago, overrated. I still stand by that, and I think, and you can even hear there's a lot more pressure and more like magnifying glass being over Danny, just because this is what Nick DeVries went through last year around third, fourth race, and you're like, okay, like we give you a pass for the first few races, but you really need to show up and show out. And I think he really is struggling. And even though he did start, I think P18 there, I don't even remember.
He was P17, yeah.
He didn't gain. There are no moves. Like I think he ended up still kind of in the back.
Yeah, P12. Well, because of all the DNFs.
Yeah, because you had the
that's
two
what
Alpines, the two
three DNFs, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
with Logan not starting.
and then
And
Max
then-
Lewis.
And then
And
George,
then George.
Russell. That's
Yeah,
like 4 or
four.
5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Georgia.
Yeah. So I think that this is the next 2-3 races, like if he needs to pull something out of his bag, like maybe he's just not as confident. And I get that. Like he's, coming into a new team, new car, new everything. But
We've been saying that for the
I
last.
know.
Yeah.
No, we can't. We
like
can't
think
keep saying
about
that.
Liam Lawson, new team,
Chomping
new
at the
car,
bits.
new everything, and he was able to perform. And I get it. These like new energy and kind of wanting to perform and show what you've got when you're coming in and being given that opportunity. But I think Daniel needs to do something and like kind of tap into his like old self when he first got into F1 and like really like just go attack that that track with confidence. I just think his confidence is rocked.
I don't know, because in the interview and with even what Marco said, it wasn't, he even said, I don't think this is a confidence issue. It's just, I haven't clicked with the car yet. He's like, this is very different from my McLaren time. He's
Yeah.
like, there, it wasn't even the car. I just had zero confidence in even performing. He's like, here, I just haven't clicked with the car yet. He's like, I know, I'm super confident. I know what I can achieve with this car. And he's like, look at Yuki. He's outperforming, but he's like, that's because we have a good car. There's something there I'm lacking. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to talk with my engineers and make sure that we find that little tune to get me to where I should be. And then even Marco, he's like, honestly, we're not stressed. We have a lot of talent on this team.
Yeah.
He'll find his way.
Yeah.
And he's a good marketing guy either way.
He
Like,
is. But that's
You will
That's what I
never
was-
get rid of him.
That's what I said yesterday. I said, it was great when he was in his role where he was doing all the press when he wasn't racing. He was doing a lot for the sport, just getting like his likeness and his brand and his just charisma altogether is very good for the sport. Now the question is his racing still up to par
Yeah.
with the talent, that sheer talent that's still chomping at the bits to be in F1?
Yeah.
And I think this is where if we really want to encourage new and current talent, we have to get to a point where we say, okay, look, enough. You know,
You want
especially
your
with-
old job back?
Yeah.
As a marketing guy?
That's where I kind of disagree with what he's saying, because if he's saying that he didn't click, Liam Lawson jumped in that seat and was challenging Yuki. Like in Japan last year, Liam Lawson was going the outside of Yuki.
That is fun.
He didn't have time to click with the car.
Yeah.
Daniel's had time.
Yeah.
I love Daniel. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to but he. To me, if I'm hearing that and he's like, he hasn't until clicked that. Ollie Behrman jumped in the car, performed. Liam Lawson jumped in the car, performed. You've got these young kids
Yep.
waiting to go.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's
So-
a very good point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Time's a ticking.
Yeah.
Time's a ticking.
Actually, talking about Red Bull, do you guys think this was a one-off weekend similar to Singapore, or did Newey and Red Bull go too aggressive on this build that they have this year with because right now, even remove Max's issue, Checo was having huge degradation issues in the rear.
Mm-hmm.
This is with airflow. Did they get too aggressive with the side pods this year? And potentially they're going to introduce a 0 side pod coming soon. Did they get too aggressive with this? And is this going to cost them? Because now remember, the first 2 races were night races.
Yeah.
No direct sun.
Yeah.
There was not crazy degradation.
Still crazy humidity, though. By rain.
Humidity, yes. Yeah. And then now we move
But
to our
the track-
first race where track was direct heat, high degradation, and we saw a lot of issues with Red Bull from the first FP1. It wasn't just a race issue. From the whole weekend, it was an issue. And we're going to Japan, another potentially sunny, hot track. Are we going to see the same issue again?
I don't know
It's
about.
springtime in Japan.
Yeah.
So
It's not
So
gonna
it's
be as
not
crazy.
it's not,
not
as
gonna
hot.
be as hot,
It might
but
be a
it's again.
monsoon.
Yeah.
But it's not hot
Yeah, yeah.
typically. But I think it might be too early to say. Like I would want to see another few like hot tracks. Like I think what's after Japan.
Is it China?
China.
Oh, yeah.
What's the climate
Similar.
like in China?
Question. I don't know.
I feel
I
like
think
it's similar.
Still similar.
Question mark? I'm not
But
actually
it's
sure.
China.
I still think it's a little bit too soon.
I think it might be too
because I
soon,
think
yeah.
every team is figuring out the kinks. Like Sauber, Joe's front wing just broke after
Yeah.
turn 10 because of let's say he hit a bump. Lewis's engine blew up on the main straight. That was a catastrophic failure. It just completely went. So I still think teams are like figuring it out. Yes, Red Bull definitely pushed the boundary, but like with Adrian Newey on the team, I'm sure he's got that sketchbook out and he's already making adjustments.
Though I do think Ferrari is probably the most like I feel like their car is just well set up for like most conditions. Like I think they're just doing like they seem to be the most dialed in to me.
Plus the 2 probably most dialed in
then
drivers.
The drivers
Yeah.
too.
They're
yeah.
hungry. They
Yeah.
have something to prove, both of them. Charles,
Yeah.
this is your last year
And the team
before
principal.
Lewis kicks in. It's Fred era. He's removing all the
Hey,
negativity.
Fred was chilling after this weekend.
Oh,
he was
yeah.
like, "Look what I've done."
Oh, yeah.
Guy just had his appendix out, and then like Leclerc
He's
was
like, did I make a mistake and not get rid of Carlos?
Isn't
I
it
loved the way
crazy?
Sainz said that for the winter break, he's like, everyone should remove appendix, like weight reduction or
I
whatever.
know way ridiculous. But it's crazy that it's every time in the last 2 seasons that Max, well, not every time, most of the time where Max wasn't able to maximize on a P1, it was Sainz.
Yeah. Carlos is Max's stopper.
Yeah.
That's why you needed him as a second driver.
And
Let's
the smoothest
go.
operator.
I'm excited for the rest of this. Like,
Yeah. That's why I think the race was actually entertaining. I think it gave you like a spark of hope. And I really hope that we don't get crushed in the next few.
No, I think even if Max kept on, Ferrari would have secured the win.
it would have been a
100%.
fight.
Yeah.
That's why I feel. I
It
think we
would've
got
been a
robbed.
battle.
I think we got robbed a little because that would have been an all-out fight.
Yeah.
Sainz and DRS, they would have fought. Now, speaking of Japan, what are we excited about most for this upcoming race? Because we got a weekend off, don't we? We've
Yeah,
a
we have.
weekend off and then we're back on again.
I would say Red Bull Redemption. This is like similar to last year. Singapore, horrible. Max came out and said, you just watch Japan. And he dominated. Would he
Was
finish
it in
with
Japan?
30?
Was it Japan
Yeah,
right after?
after?
Yeah.
I know the schedule got moved
Yeah.
this year, but I think he won by like 25 seconds
Oh,
or
yeah, it
something.
was-
he
it was
was
atrocious.
domination from FP1. He was setting purple sectors throughout.
Yeah.
So it's a redemption era for them.
It's I think we have the most fun on this track, on the sim.
Oh, it's a beautiful track.
fun.
So much fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I really do want Mercedes to get their act together this time.
It's not going to happen. They're going back to the scratching board again.
I
Like,
don't know.
they're so confused.
What is it? What is it?
It's not working, whatever
Yeah.
they're
Are
trying.
they scrambling?
Yeah. What's that?
Do you want to talk about when every time Carlos wins, George crashes out?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I actually was thinking about that, and I wanted to talk about George's mic, like his radio message when he did crash.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, every time, when Sainz won in Singapore, did we not see George just absolutely going straight on a
He
corner
broke
and
his front suspension
I
by trying
know.
to clip the corner.
Yeah.
and it's always on the last,
That's such
like
a
on
weird
the
stat
last
as
lap.
well. It's such a weird stat.
It is a weird stat, but it is weirdly like consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this one, we can talk about it. Alonso, this is going to be a debate for many, many days on whether he purposely did that, where he braked early, caused him to get into his dirty air, spin out, have no air under his floor, flipped, whatever. But was this deliberate, or was just George not focused on what's in front of him? Yes, it's kind of a blind corner, and he was like, he was 500 or 5/10 away from him. How did he
Very,
just
very close.
magically, just appear and brake and just stop pretty much on a corner that is a sweeping brake, right? So that's a debate that can go on.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, I mean, you would think that Fernando, being a very experienced driver, that he wouldn't do such.
It's also Fernando Alonso we're talking about.
Yeah.
here.
But then also,
If there was
yeah,
anyone
Who
to
could
do
do
something a little bit,
so
like,
calculated
cheeky, right?
move.
yeah, you put Alonso in that category.
I know, but that's kind of dirty racing, and I feel like he was kind
Just
of.
a DRS zone. You want to stop that driver because that corner, as Henny just mentioned, it's a blind corner, but you come in with some momentum. It's a lift, dab of the brakes, floor it again, and you're turning blind.
Yeah.
Whereas if he did intentionally slow down a little bit more,
Yeah.
then Russell would have had to react and heavy on the brakes,
Yeah.
which means then you're heavy in acceleration. You've lost all momentum. And let's not forget that Mercedes all race, whether it was George or Lewis, after the main straight, that first right-hander, once the momentum went forward on those front wheels, the back end was kicking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as soon as Russell overreacted and dabbed the brakes, he was
gone.
never correcting that car.
Yeah.
Both of them struggled all weekend. That rear wing in the Mercedes is just, it's horrendous.
But it was a very sobering radio message. Him frantically calling
Yeah.
for a red flag, and you could just hear the fear. And I think that's when it was more humanizing. Like I think like the sport, I feel like we were disconnected because they're like, oh, they handle those machines and they're just athletes, and you expect all the safety precautions are taken, but you realize how dangerous and the sport can be. And the way he was frantically calling for it to be a red flag, and then it was a virtual yellow flag, which
That was
also caused some debate. But yeah, that was terrifying because he was dead smack in the middle, and it is a blind corner. And I'm just so glad everybody's safe, but that was very scary.
Because even last year, that's where Albon had went and crashed, and
Yeah.
his car didn't come back out as much in track, but Magnussen nearly clipped him.
Yep.
And like that is a dangerous corner. So like if you're stationed on that corner, it should be a red flag. Should be a red
Wait
flag.
a minute, we didn't talk about Haas. The
Double points?
Double
Oh, yeah.
points.
Let's go.
No, I told you the last reflection. I was like, that team fixed it. What their
So
the long
who was
pace.
the problem?
I think it was.
We're not going to say Gunther.
It wasn't Gunther's problem. I think it was
Jeez.
it was the car problem
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
had to fix. All through last year, they knew that they had no long pace whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they did in the winter testing, but they figured it out. And they're still qualifying too,
Yeah.
pretty well.
Doing very well,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's either Q2 or sometimes Q3 appearances.
They're consistent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think they might, if they continue this trajectory, and Williams is somewhat confused, which is another topic.
Okay, I was going to say we can segue about that right after.
But at this point, Haas might actually beat Williams in the trajectory they're going.
I think there's a
Yeah.
good chance that that will happen because Williams really only has one driver, and they showed that
This weekend.
this weekend with the Albon's birthday gift.
Was his birthday this week?
Yeah.
You get a new car.
You get Logan's chassis. And I think that was, and I really do, I know there was a lot of debate, but at the end of the day, they are fighting for points. And I agree that with the call that the team made, it just sucks that you don't have two drivers that you can rely on to score points. And it begs the question, why have, I guess, that seat if you're not really confident in.
No.
Well, it is like it was a matter of confidence. Like, so the team was not confident that Logan is going to. I mean, yeah, Logan would score points over Albon.
Yeah, but every team has your A driver and your second driver.
Yeah.
You could say the exact same about Red Bull. They're not
But
going to let
you-
Perez. They're going to take Perez's car and give it to Max. You could nearly say an argument would be Ferrari. If Charles damaged his car, who would
that
get
would
that
have been
car?
bold.
That's it's a different ball game. For me,
I
Albon and Logan is a clear cut Albon. I'm sorry.
Well, and that's why I agree. I'm just saying that the question is like why it's completely, I think, unfair for that second driver. And I know this is a sport and it's not meant to be fair. And I don't come for me, y'all. I'm just saying I can understand the argument of the other side where people are disappointed because why have a seat being occupied by someone you are not fully confident in? And why didn't you have? I know it's not uncommon, but I thought there was always a third, like a reserve chassis.
Yeah, it's
That's,
production issues that.
Nah, there's an Excel sheet that got lost in the filing cabinet, and it's there somewhere.
Well,
Yeah.
this is nothing new. James Vowell has come out and said
Yeah.
we have to fix our production issues.
Yeah.
Even months and months ago. So this wasn't not like a whoa, this happened to them.
Yeah.
They have a lot of issues they need to fix in their production, and this was just like not a wake up call, but like a slap in the face. Like everyone knows now
Yes.
that this has happened. Like every other team knows how behind we are.
Yeah, your skeletons are out,
showing.
and
But
the
even-
teams are aware of where your gaps are in the
Yeah.
team,
Yeah.
and that's why I think Haas will maximize.
Yeah.
They have to.
Even on that production issue, that chassis that's damaged has to get shipped back, fixed,
And
and then brought to Japan because the third chassis won't be ready till China. That's wild.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Rome wasn't built in in a day. Like, I'm sure James'
Oh, yeah, we're
impact.
confident,
Like,
yeah.
I think with the new leadership with James, I think there's a lot of prospects and like high hopes for the team. It just was so disappointing for Logan, and I get it, but yeah, it's disappointing.
I mean, he had mid confidence, and you tack this on. It's like, how do you expect him to go to Japan and be like,
Never thought about it like that.
Exactly. You're telling a guy who is on your team that, hey, mate, you're gonna have to sit this one out.
Yeah.
I love
Listen,
that.
we love you, but we don't trust you.
Max came out after that and said, he's like, yeah, Logan's very sporting. Max was like, if they told me that they were going to give my car to someone
I'm
else,
a
I'd have flattened it so
flat
no one gets to drive it.
What you were doing? I was like,
flattening
did you-
that car.
I thought your leg fell asleep. I'm like, what an awkward time to just
Max
be.
literally said he'd rather crash the car
Before
than
anyone
have
takes it.
than have anyone else drive it. Like, he's like,
Yeah.
if I'm not driving it, no one's driving it.
yeah.
Damn straight.
Yeah, that's,
feel like
That's
that's
what
the
Logan should have done. Be like, nobody touching my car.
Logan get walked
Yeah,
out.
right.
Yeah, he'd be like, all right,
Logan has
contract
caused
gone.
like what $4 million worth of damages last year.
Oh,
I'm pretty
yeah,
sure that
that's
he's
fine.
like the reason that they're probably behind in production. So
Fact.
I think
Oh,
he
you
can.
were firing
Yeah.
He
Come on.
He does not have
He's
a
playing
say.
both sides. One time he's like, I love the
Yeah.
man. He
I
needs
do.
it. And then it's like,
You know what? You have to be. Sometimes you have to see both sides, and I do see both sides here. But I am with James on this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think we're almost wrapped.
Yeah.
Next week, Japan. We're excited.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Sorry, 2 weeks. Hopefully there is a bit of rain. I do like it, and not a monsoon that causes a red
Yeah,
flag
no,
in the
but
world.
change the time of the season, so it should be better, isn't it? Or is it still the same time?
No, I think they brought it into monsoon season. That's why it was always been in,
was a
in
late-
September. It was
Other
the
way
other
around.
way.
Other
yeah,
way
yeah.
around. So we should be good now.
Yeah,
Oh,
we should be good.
good.
Yeah.
For our predictions, because we changed our predictions this weekend, will we put
We're
Max
gonna
in his
keep,
own-
yes, we're
Okay,
gonna
so
keep
let's see
doing
what
it.
happens.
Yeah,
Let's see.
Like,
Max
let's see,
P1 as always, and then we're just gonna do P2 to P4 and keep the curse going.
Keep
Let's
the
see.
curse. I
Let's
think
see
we
what
cursed
happens.
it.
Let's
Yeah.
keep it spicy.
Listen, it's constructors. They're only like 3 points or something.
Oh, no,
away.
it's close.
It's close.
It's close.
Back.
Yeah.
It's back on now.
I think there's only 7 points between Ferrari and Red Bull now.
Yeah. Oh yes, I think it was the drivers.
Oh,
I
wow.
think Charles is like 3 points for Max or something, which is let's go.
That's
It's
amazing.
back on.
Yeah, it's back on.
Who said 2024 was a boring season?
You just said this race
We
was
got
not
one
that
inkling of
entertaining,
hope.
and it was like
I was talking about the overall, not the race. I'm talking about the whole season now.
Yeah, but let's see. Like, we're still 3 races in, so we got
Let's go.
21 more to go. I think that's a wrap.
Yep.
Thanks everyone for watching. As always, please like, comment, subscribe,
And do
tell
all
your
the above.
friends, and listen and buy merch and support us because it takes a team to put this together, and we love you, and we can't wait to catch you on the next one.
So what do we say?
Oh yeah.
Lights out and
Oh
away we
yeah.
go.
Lights out and away we go.
Enjoy.
Bye.